So the first question to our panelists today, we have YB, Stephen, Shanli, and Tunku. Thank you so much. So first of all, we often hear that SME are the backbone of the economy. But what does that actually mean in real life? It means job, family incomes, local innovation, social mobility, and the resilience of our community. So today, we want to go beyond the slogan and talk about SME really need in order to survive. So for my business, Foodie, we serve many SME and FMB. So the first question is, we often hear the phrase, SME are the backbone of the economy. In practical terms, what do SME matter so much to Malaysia?
Thank you, Ping Yang and fellow panelists, Shanli and Tengku Denny. I think the easiest way to describe this, to answer Ping Yang's question, is that if there is no SME, I know Ping Yang like to eat. Yeah. That's why you set up KL Foodie, Penang Foodie. And then you go to all these restaurants and gerai and all these kedai makan. So if there is no SME, it will be very difficult for you to open your KL Foodie or Penang Foodie. Reason being, 70% or so of our food services, basically your restaurant, your kedai makan, your gerai, are SMEs. So imagine, it will affect us as well. We will have lesser choices when it comes to dinner tonight.
We got no place to host our friend.
We have got no place, yeah.
No good food to eat also.
It will be much harder to make decision for dinner. And of course, there are many people here. Every 1 in 2 person are actually hired by SME. So our gaji is being paid by SME. People around us, our friend, our family, our father, our mother. So this is why we say SME is the backbone of the Malaysian economy. It produced about 40% of our GDP, hired almost 50% of the workforce in Malaysia, and it is about 80% of all, 91% of all business establishment, which means every 10 companies in Malaysia, 9 companies are SMEs. This is the landscape of SME. To answer your question, why is SME important? Why is it a backbone?
Yeah, I think just to add to that, YB, I think if you look at global situations today, and when you think about when global volatility happens, just like right now, it is the SMEs that are really going to support our economy, right? It is the SMEs that are going to provide domestic consumption. It's the local companies that are going to continue to be hiring people and providing employment. So again, it is another classic example of why SMEs are so important for our economy.
Thank you, Pinyan. First of all, well done, everyone. Come here at 6 p.m. on a Sunday, the graveyard shift. I'm glad to see so many people here. Of course, we have the superstar, the YB here. That's why we are here. But in terms of SMEs, as YB said, 97% of all businesses are SMEs. That means nearly every single company is an SME, except for the top 3%. But having said that, the SMEs do punch above their weight. They contribute 40% of the GDP and 50% of all employment in Malaysia. So definitely, it is a huge, more than a backbone of the economy. I think it is the blood and guts of the economy. So it's very important for us to help local MSMEs in Malaysia. So, thank you for coming here and make sure you buy up our local products and help push these SMEs forward.
Now we know the importance of SME, but I get a lot of questions. A lot of people come to me yesterday and today. How did you start? What are the challenges that you face when you first start a business? So I want to jump right in the gun, right? From your perspective angle, right? What is the biggest challenges SME in Malaysia are facing today? Yeah, what are the challenges you always hear every single day?
Yeah, so I'm from Endeavour, and Endeavour is a community of startups around the world. And I can say it's not unique only to Malaysia, but you will see that the biggest challenge isn't really starting a business. It's easy to start a business, have a product or have a service and start selling that. But the biggest challenge is scaling that business. So to me, one of the biggest problems for SMEs is being stuck in the middle trap. You're stuck in the middle, you're doing okay, you're surviving, you're paying the bills, but how do you get that company to really scale and grow? and multiply that kind of impact that you create as an SME. So to me, it is SMEs need to stop just being stuck right there in the middle and small, medium, but to start learning how to scale their businesses.
If we can give one tip of scaling the business, what can Shanli share to the audience today?
I think there are lots of things you can do to scale the business. To me, firstly, it is to have a vision and to have people that you look to as role models of success. People like Pin Yang from Foodie Media, people like our successful companies here in Malaysia, like Kasem and T-Life, etc. To see these companies and how to have these successful companies and have them as something that you can also be. So I think one of the first things to do is to have people to look up to or success stories to aspire to become like, and try to scale your business, whatever that business is, right? To speak to other entrepreneurs. Doesn't necessarily have to be only entrepreneurs in Malaysia, but speak to entrepreneurs from other places, other parts of the world, and learn from them. Learn from other people in terms of how they scale their businesses.
What about YB? What are the common challenges that SME face today?
I think it is knowledge, really. I mean, a lot of people come to me and say, hey, I need money to set up my business. A very popular question they ask the minister is, got grant or not? Grant basically means free money. You want a free money to set up. I mean, there are grants, don't get me wrong, there are grants in the government. There are different sorts of grants, including grants in my ministry. But we want to shed off the grant mentality, because as I said, grant basically means free money. I give you free money before you even perform, before you even develop your business, and you can guess what happened after that, right? You already got your reward. That is the money. What we are trying to move away from this grant mentality to say, if I give you, let's say I give you 100 ringgit in terms of financing, low cost financing, if you do well, if you hit certain productivity KPI, or if your repayment is good, then instead of returning 100 that you borrowed, maybe you give back 70. So I give you a 30% discount. I think that is a better way to think about government assistance when it comes to money. But what I'm trying to say is this. At the end of the day, it is not money, because money is everywhere. Right? We have the private equity, we have a capital market, we have finance, the financial sector, finance institution, you have the government, you have 6 DFI, developmental financial institution, basically banks that are mandated to assist development agenda in this country. So you have everywhere. You have the VCs. The core thing that I think is really the fundamental breaking point is whether you have the right knowledge to start a business, financial literacy, governance. I just spoke to a group of private equity fund manager. They said we are more than happy to come in, but often when we come to an SME, 2 major blocks. Number one is the culture of preferring debt over equity in Malaysia. Or that is one issue. But the other issue, which I think is more fundamental, is governance. They say we can't go in when it is a family-run SME, for example. And Ping Yan, I am a big fan of a family-run business. I think family-run business has its strength, and we are not tapping enough into it. But it also has its limitation, because you imagine the father is the CEO, the mother is the co-CEO, the son is the COO. Decision making is, to put it politely, is less than ideal. There's not much professionalism in terms of the decision making, in terms of paperwork, in terms of reporting. So all this is very important. I always say, if you think taking up 100,000 or even up to 1 million in low cost loan is not good for you, and you prefer a grant, then I think you should consider whether you should start your business or not. Because if you cannot pay back a low cost microcredit loan within 2 years or 3 years, sometimes stretch to 5 years, you have no confidence that you'll be able to make that money,
then there's something wrong with the business model.
Something wrong with the business model. You better go and have a bit of mentoring with Endeavour or Ping Yang or even Tunku Danny before going into business. I'm trying to help you to save your money. If you think that taking the free grant will help you to expand the business, instead of taking the low-cost financing. I said, no. If you have no confidence that within 2 to 5 years, you can return that low-cost financing, then there is a problem with your business model.
Yeah, let me just add on to what YB said. According to the Department of Statistics, 6 out of 10 SMEs fail after 5 years. That's 60% of SMEs. So if you're SMEs that's been longer than 5 years, you're actually in the minority. So I think we have to change the mindset, what YB said, away from grants and look at financing. Because when you get financing and you do it right, you change the way you run your business. You're not thinking about getting the money and you're ready to burn that cash. You're not thinking of, I've got this money, but I have to pay back that money. We're actually doing lots of good stuff with SME Corp, which is one of the government agencies under YB's Stephen Sim's portfolio, where we disperse funds, low-cost funds from SME Corp. And if they show good behavior in terms of repayment, then there is a rebate in terms of the financing they get. So we actually, we reward for good repayment behavior. So if you have, debt and you service that debt and you pay back that debt and you know how to work and manage your company so that you can still become profitable and hit lots of revenue metrics, then you are the right person to get this financing. So we encourage more SMEs to rethink of how they run their business. Don't think that grants is the way forward, but think about financing potentially to grow your business.
Yeah, that's amazing. So for my business, just context, I got grant before, to be honest. I got grant from I4 Seed Fund. I also raised money from investor, angel. I got another round from Group Holding, and recently company go IPO. But I believe a lot of SME or people want to start business. They also want to know whether their business fundable. How do institution, how do fund, how do government look at whether your company, is it fundable or not lah? So what makes the difference between a business that's fundable and a business that remain difficult to support?
For us, we look at how well the C-level management runs the company. We look at debt service ratio, we look at profit metrics, revenue metrics, but the most importantly is, can the founder actually run this business? Do they have the know-how of what to do? Does he have the network? Does he have the right products, the right services? All those come into play for us as a P2P financing operator in what we look at when we want to finance them. So it all starts from the founder. Is the founder the right person? Does he actually know what he's doing? And that's key. The founder is key for a SME.
I'll just add to that with a view from Endeavour. So Endeavour also has a fund. We have a VC fund which has $700 million under management. And I think main thing we look for is the founder mentality. So founders that we'd like to look for within Endeavour are founders who dream bigger and want to scale their business. Because when people look to fund a business, whether it's a bank or it's a VC equity money, they want to know that the founder is going to grow that business. They're not going to fund a business that's just going to take the money and either stay stagnant or do less well every year. But you want to back a company that's going to grow, both in terms of revenue as well as in terms of profit, so that they can also repay you in terms of either valuation or in terms of repaying you your debt, right? So it is definitely founder mentality or entrepreneur mentality. And also to make sure that when you start growing your business and as you grow in scale, revenue is not enough. Just doing well is not enough. You always have to make sure you have the right data and governance in place. Because again, when people are going to fund your business, the first thing they're going to ask you is your accounts, show me the supporting, the diligence that they need to do to support the numbers that they are showing on the table.
I like it that the non-conventional FI, the financial institution like VC and PEs, P2P, they always talk about, they are not only about chasing papers. It's interesting that both of you talk about founders' characteristic and mentality as well. So this is very important, which is why in our country we have all sorts of financing. You have the traditional commercial banks, right? Those people are not going to look at your mentality. They are going to look at your papers. They are going to look at your accounts and your records. And then you have the alternative financing organizations, including DFIs. But I think at the end of the day, the bottom line is this: you don't go into a bank or a financier with an empty paper, right? There are a lot of people who come to us because they think that I'm a politician. I need your vote. So you come to me and say, YB be tolong meh? Tak boleh tolong meh? Empty paper, right? To say they need something. They say, if I can get it from the bank, I'll get it from the bank. Why do I need to go to the government? Because I can't get from the bank. Therefore, I go to the government. I think this mentality is very dangerous. Government money is whose money?
Our money.
Right, yeah.
Your money.
Yes.
So imagine if Pingyang come to me and say, we are friend bank cannot pinjam him. Sure got reason why bank cannot pinjam him. What? So therefore, I know him, he's from Penang, I give him. That means your money, So I think we have to be very careful. That's why I said, bottom line is knowledge, is governance. You talk about governance, financial literacy. But, true story, just about a few weeks ago, an SME owner came to me and say, you announced this loan, cannot get one. Want to apply also cannot. I said, how come cannot get? Don't know lah, cannot get one. I was curious, why cannot get? I wanted to call my staff already. Why you don't allow this Mr. So-and-so to apply? I keep asking him, why? Then my staff told me, out of 50 million that we announced, it is already oversubscribed. We approved over 50 million of loan. So somebody else is getting, just not him. So I pressed him further, why cannot get? I asked him, secrets got problem, is it? Then his answer, he very shy after that. He said, YB, sure got problem or what? Where got nice one, secrets? You see the problem here? Right? Government money doesn't mean you can just give unprofessionally. I tell him, if you tell me your secrets have problem, then we look at alternatives, right? It is not the end of the world. Okay? Don't worry, it's not the end of the world. But you must be frank. You don't come to me and say, cannot get one. You have a problem. You have a cash flow, you have a debt service problem. No problem. Come to us. We look at other elements. We look at other factors. We look at your purchase orders. We look at your cash flow. We look at other areas. But you have to be frank. So you have to have knowledge. You have to have honesty. I think help is available everywhere.
Okay, YB, I want to ask you one thing. Yeah, about policy lah, YB. So you mentioned about sometimes based on the individual, but to have a healthy ecosystem for SME, right? Actually, what they require beyond the grant and incentive lah, from a policy perspective.
When I came into this ministry, last year, or rather in the last 2 years, I was a minister in charge of workers. Chinese say 劳工部长. Now I'm 老板部长. 中小企业老板 SME, last time is worker, Menteri Pekerja, sekarang Menteri Majikan. But for small, medium businesses lah, Pingyang already now beyond 50, I don't know. I'm not going to ask him. But anyway, so I know that number one, time is not with me because of the election schedule, right? we are hitting on the problem is politicians that you always work on a 5-year schedule. But number two, we are living in very critical economic time. There are a lot of challenges, and many of these challenges are beyond domestic control. You are talking about geopolitics and geoeconomy. So I know something fast must be done. Therefore, we've got 15,000 staff in my ministry. I told all 15,000 staff, I said, just focus on one mission. What is the mission? We put a very clear mission headline: to make Malaysian businesses great, with a framework of what I call ABCD strategy, which is the ecosystem. What is ABCD? A is to assist entrepreneurs like yourself, SMEs, to accelerate productivity. Because when price is no more a competitive advantage for us, and price is no longer a competitive advantage for Malaysia, yeah, we have to go on productivity. We have to go on value. B is bureaucracy reduction. I know a lot of businesses tell me, government don't give money, never mind, don't kacau us. So I strive to reduce bureaucratic processes. C is capital in accessibility. Money is still important. I'm not saying it's not important. So we have to make sure that there's money in the market. There's money for you to expand. There's money for you to even keep the lights on. D, finally, is to drive market participation. So I'm not even talking about bringing SME to export market. Before we talk about export market, I want SME to have a bigger piece of the pie domestically. The SME must take part, not to be crowded out by MNCs, for example, or even GLC. So drive market accessibility.
A, B, C, D. Okay, now we have a better words and we remember lah. But for Shanli and Tunku Danny, what are other policy you wish we have now to make the SME ecosystem more competitive? Not just getting started, but make them more successful.
I think visa policies definitely would be an important one, because I think we have a lot of SMEs and they need to be upskilled, right? There's a lot of talent that we have that can learn from other talent which we may not have in Malaysia in terms of scalability. So if we can improve the visa policies for us to be able to bring in talent, to upskill our own local talent, I think that's an important area to look at. Another area that I would like to see in terms of policy would be to incentivize not just individual businesses, but to incentivize the businesses that can multiply their impact. Because I believe that if you help a company to multiply and scale their business, people like Pinyang, he will then provide more employment, he will create more jobs, his employees will then go on to start their own businesses, which will then also continue to scale and grow, and that multiplier effect, I think, should be incentivized. So instead of just incentivizing one company which may survive or fail, or we should incentivize people to not just build successful businesses, but incentivize them to multiply their success.
I'm hearing visa, access and impact lah. Right. What about Tunku Danny?
For me, I think the government so far is doing a good job in terms of policy. From all the SMEs that we have started, we have assisted and helped. There doesn't to be that much noise in terms of policy direction. Maybe just to go on the B side of things, YP, maybe the bureaucracy, we can minimize that so they can speed things up in terms of doing business. So that is very key, I think.
Just want to add, interesting that Shanli mentioned visa, because I was in the visa ministry, right? Talent ministry. Under Talent Corp, especially since last year, we have managed to reduce the processing time. So everywhere I go, I try to think about how we can make life easier for you by reducing bureaucratic hassle. So we managed to reduce processing time for expat visa from previously 6 months to a year to about 20 days now. So I think it's one of the fastest, maybe even in the region. I changed ministry, I don't know whether they continue that pace or not. I hope they do.
I have a lot of complaints from companies saying that their employees are not getting their employment passes approved. It's been months.
So that's why I say I changed ministry for the last 4 months. But come talk to me, because this is very important to me as well. But one thing we did was also we increased the salary threshold of expats. Reason is because there's always this dilemma. If you bring in more expat, and I'm not even talking about for migrant workers at the lower level, I'm talking about expat, right?
Yeah.
When you bring in an expat, in the past, you only need 3,000 ringgit, you can hire an expat in Malaysia, right? Then all these local engineers say, oh, what about us? All the companies will want to get engineers from India or even Bangladesh, actually, engineer, or China. But you are not giving locals opportunities. So there's always this critical tension between allowing businesses to bring in foreign workers, including expat, and encouraging more jobs for locals. There's always this tension. But please talk to me about the issue.
Yeah, I think increasing the salary is okay, because you were just saying that we're bringing in good talent. And that goes back to the original point that I was talking about. We should be bringing in good talent to upskill local talent.
No, for me, I agree. I mean, there has been some issues with visas, but I think that's something that the ministries should be able to look to solve. But for me, it's the bureaucracy. Make it quicker. Things can be done quicker to start a business, to reach out to certain kind of government agencies and ministries. If we have that will help a lot of the SMEs that we help to assist on our platform.
Sure. Tunggu Danny, I'm sure a lot of founder, businessmen come to you on a daily basis. I read an article in H1 2025, my colleague has processed more than 300 million. So, from your perspective, in the whole startup ecosystem, what kind of support do founders need the most today? Is it mentorship, networks, capital, market expansion, or opportunity? What are the things that, when you talk to the business founder today, what are the topics that they want to know more?
The quick answer is all of the above. But for me, it's how they manage the business. So one of the things that I think founders get trapped in is the profit looks great on paper, but they don't look at the cash flow, right? The cash flow, because profit you can amortize an asset over 5 years, but in terms of cash flow, the money's gone. So they have to always look at cash flow. Cash flow is key for business. Make sure you can manage the cash flow, and the profit will come later on. So just manage your cash flow. That is very important, especially for us when we look to, in terms of peer-to-peer financing, P2P financing, we always look at cash flow. We look at debt service ratio. Can they actually afford this financing? If they can, then we can jalan lah.
So how to actually manage cash flow better?
Yeah, so you have to manage your numbers. You have to know you have to know the money coming in and money going out, and really look at it and manage it. Sometimes you have your buku 555, which is fine, but let's put this into an Excel so that in the event that you do want to get financing from a P2P financer like us or a bank, we have all that data already. So be prepared and do it now. Don't think that later on you can do it, because then you have to go back and look at all your pieces of paper. Right now, get everything in order so that you know your cash flow and get everything right for your next, be it a loan or P2P financing.
So business owner, focus on your cash flow. Yeah. What about Shanli?
Yeah, I'm going to say peer mentorship. And I don't mean just mentorship in terms of if I need help with finance, I go to a finance mentor, or if I need help with operations, I go to an operations mentor. I think what founders need is they need somebody to talk to who has done what they're trying to do and who has succeeded doing what they're trying to do to help them solve their problems. So it's not workshops or just mentorships about specific subjects, but to be able to be mentored by people who you see as your peers or one step ahead of you in your industry. So for example, we have companies like RPG, which is a company that owns the Montego water bottles. And the founder, his name is Melvin, he joined Endeavour. And then through Endeavour, he met founders of businesses like the Sakor business, which is a clothing company. And he learns from the founder of Sakor in terms of retail and how to scale a retail business. He learns from other retail businesses in different parts of the world how to scale into the Middle East or right now, or even if you look at Latin America or Africa, to be able to talk to other entrepreneurs who have scaled into different markets that you might want to enter into. So it is getting mentorship from other entrepreneurs who have done or addressed the challenge that the entrepreneur is facing at that point in time. I think that's really the biggest challenge.
I agree. YB, remember the dinner that we had with a few entrepreneurs, a lot of things that they also raised their concern.
Yeah. I'm not a business founder in that strict sense of the word, but I actually started a business when I was post high school. I started, then I went into the wrong field. Otherwise, I'll be rich like Ping Yang. Right? I think it is very clear. Like everything in life, you need mentor. In fact, I said the fundamental problem is knowledge. Where do you get knowledge? Of course, you can get knowledge by reading book, but I think mentoring, the networking that you have, the right people that you mix around with, even as a politician, I spend time talking and listening to a lot of people, including our stakeholders, SME owners, the banks, the whole ecosystem, because I want to know what is happening on the ground. And some of these, some of the points that I get in my speeches all came from my interaction with people. So I think it's very important. Find the right business network, find the right circle, find the right guru. There's a lot of guru out there, right? They are out there to make money from you, but find the right guru, and I think you will fly.
Okay, we have last 5 minutes. I want to go back to our topics, right? SME is the biggest backbone of Malaysia economy. We say something very hard. I want YB, Shanli, Tunggu Danny to really give us something very positive. If today we want to start a business, we want to start something new. I want to change my life of my family. What is one thing that they can focus as a SME today lah? What are the mindset they should have? What opportunity? Anything. Tell to our audience to inspire them. Start today.
I will start by telling everybody to stop thinking that you have to do everything on your own. So I think a very good thing to focus on as you build your business is to focus on the people that you bring within your team, the people who are going to carry your vision. I think that is the most important thing to focus on, rather than trying to control and micromanage and do everything yourself. Focus on building your leadership team of the great people who are going to achieve your vision.
Yeah, I think for me, when you start your business, I come from a funding, from the funding side, okay? The first people you want to get money from is your FFFs, your friends, families, and fools, okay? So if you cannot get money from your friends, family, or fools, then you don't have the right business, don't have the right business idea. So first thing, what we like to call is a funding escalator. So first, you get your money from your friends, your family. Make sure you have a good enough business plan that they're willing to invest in you, because you can't go straight to a bank to get financing on your first venture. So you get that. The next one you go up is either P2P financing or even ECF, equity crowdfunding. Then they also look at grants, of course. And as you go up, as you build, then you can look at bank loans and DFI. So always look at this funding escalator of where you want to start. Start small. Make sure you can impress on the people around you so they can invest in your business, and then slowly grow and be ready to get that next stage. Make sure that you do your business correct. You know how it works. You have all your books in order. Make sure you always pay back your loans. Very important. Always pay back your loans. You don't want a bad secret score, because people do look at secrets after all. So make sure you do that, and then we can be positive and help this country grow.
Don't start a restaurant business.
Why? I'm in foodie business.
I know. No.
Why?
Oh, it's interesting, right? Now we are beginning to talk. No, over the last 2-3 months, Chinese New Year, Ramadan, and then Hari Raya, Aidil Fitri, whenever I go to a restaurant, some restaurants are filled to the brim. Some restaurants no polanga, no customer. So people like to say, economy very bad lah. Restaurant kang means kosong lah, tak ada orang in the restaurant. I said, do you know there's an average about 20% increase in restaurant every year, right? In restaurants, it means there are 20. This year has 20% more number of restaurants and cafes compared to last year. Okay, that's one. But number two, does the restaurant business grow? Does the F&B business grow? Yes, about 2 to 3. Some even quote 4%, which is actually quite healthy vis-a-vis our GDP, right? It's GDP. You say, hey, the pie is only growing 2 to 3%, but the people eating pie, the number of people are growing by 20% a year. Restaurant is so easy to open today. 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 of us come together one day, say, hey, Pingyang, let's do something. Everyone put 50,000, we open a cafe. Very familiar, right? Very familiar. So one day I met a barista. He failed his business earlier, then he is now a barista because he want to learn how to really open a cafe. So I say, if you have met me a year earlier, I would save you 30,000. I'll bring you to Genting instead. Joking. No, because it is the reason why F&B sector is not growing more is not because there's no money, because there's not enough stomach. So one restaurant, you have to. The number of stomach that we have is not enough in Malaysia. Our population is not big enough, but it's so easy to open a restaurant. My point is this: it's very easy to open a business in Malaysia. Don't jump into business. It's very weird to come from a SME minister lah. I'm not trying to discourage entrepreneurial spirit. I want Malaysians are enterprising society, but don't just jump into business because it's easy, right? It is easy to open a business, but it's not easy to sustain a business. So, I want to end with a positive note. There are a lot of opportunity out there now. Despite I talk about global challenges, in fact, Chinese have this word, 天下大乱，形势大好 means the world is in chaos. But this is the right time. Why? Because suddenly Malaysia is no longer a destination of investment because we are cheap anymore, but because we are safe. Number one. So investors will be looking at Malaysia because you are one of the few countries in the world that can call up a friend and let your oil tanker pass. It's valuable, okay? Friendship. You are a friend with everyone. Today's world, we are dealing with fiscal challenges, all the supply side inflation, your energy price, but we are also dealing with structural challenges because of the decoupling, right? Political and economic decoupling. So the one who is friend with everyone, that is value. The one that is safe, that is value. The destination that is safe, that is value. The guy that can call up people around the world and make deals, that is value. So this is the right opportunity to go into business. But don't just go in because you have 30,000, because you have 50,000. Go in if you think that you have a solution to people's problem, right? Then you go in. Otherwise, join politics. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, YB Stephen, Shanli, and Tunku Danny. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Scan now and download Kleverstock, your trusted source for market insights.